TOMz.
It's cut to 4 p.m. and that can only mean one thing. The best dudes on TV are finally on your screens njengamanje. And like sibiza TOMz right here on SABC 1 TOMz for sure, proudly brought to you by SABC Education.
Most definitely, I go by the name of Caddy, and this is my boy Usia, and I'm trying to fit up in poetry. So say, do you know exactly what is poetry?
Yeah, ngiyazi poetry futhi ngithanda kakhulu. I think it's a great way to usebenzisa language ngayo. Futhi ke nokumpressa lengane.
Well, mfethu namhlanje abasithola kabanzi ukuthi poetry iqale kuphi nokuthi who are the people that are making all the rhymes and rhythms. Look at what is poetry kahle kahle.
Definitely. Now bafethu lutaba sobe sidigita kabanzi. Kwamanje ke let's see what we have in store for you today.
Let's go.
Namhlanje sihlangana with an absolute Mzansi legend who is keeping it real in the world of rhythm. See what inspired him to take on poetry as an art form and how he gets his creative juices flowing with his team. So why are humans attracted to poetry? Thola kabanzi about the effect of a poem on the brain and body. Do you know what the oldest poem in the world is? With new technologies and data, storytelling is about to get an overhaul. Find a new resource to help you learn more about the genius ways of poetry and how long would it take a human to read every single book on earth.
I give a bit njengenjwayelo sinje uthuhlelo lethu belivutha malangabi. Now on Facebook sesambuza umbuzo sathi what is your favorite poem? Waphendula ke usibuda wathi ke uthanda rap because rap is like poetry. Nice one. Wesibili ke siphethe uVincent yena ke uthanda everything by Shakespeare. Nice one abafethu. If ufuna ufana nabo, do the right thing on Facebook and on Twitter. Facebook.com/TOMz. On Twitter we are simply @TOMz_SABC_1. Kwamanje ke let's see ukuthi kahle kahle abangani bethu esikoleni bacabangani.
Sakubenge imishini yethu bafethu namhlanje sisesibukeni seHukari Secondary School and sikhuluma ngepoetry. Wangimenisi sami la ecela kwami. Hello.
Hello.
Njani?
Sharp.
What's your name?
Ayanda.
Okay, Ayanda, I want to know what is a poem?
A poem.
Yeah.
A poem is something like that you like to say to someone.
What's your name?
Tabang.
Okay, Tabang Batlotsibo, what is a poem?
Poem is a story that tells about something that happened in the past.
Okay.
It rhymes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is a poet?
A poetry, I can say it's somebody who writes poems.
Okay. Poet is a person that writes a poem. It's someone who writes a poem.
Okay. Do you have a favorite poem, boy?
Yeah.
What is it?
The poem that was spoken up. No, it's not a poem as such, but like I take it as a poem that was spoke by Thabo.
The Gentleman.
Why are you telling gentle magic?
Ngoba engisiza ngezinto ezinye engazazi and engifuna ukuzazi vele.
Shamo Tiko bashwele TOMz SABC 1.
Zanzi?
Mzansi for sure.
Okay, cool. So, bafethu, rhyme and rhythm is very important when it comes to poetry because it turns it into an art form. As in, let me show you a quick video. What am I talking about? Check this out. The best place to start when learning about rhythm is with the science of meter, which turns into an art form over time. Using rhythm in music and poetry is like using proportions when creating visual art, and it has a scientific side. It's similar to learning material art, which starts rigidly and scientifically as you teach your muscle to remember each step and part. But once it's in the muscle, it becomes an actual art. That's the same way you learn meter. It starts rigidly with lots of practice, but once it's muscle memory, it undergoes a sort of transformation in the body, and that is the art of rhythm.
The oldest surviving poem is called the Epic of Gilgamesh and is from the 3rd millennium BC in modern-day Iraq. Early epic poems were written in poetry form to help Abantu memorize it and transmit it verbally. Popular poem themes in Africa developed over time and ranged from dealing with kings and astronomy to history and victory over slavery. And our own South African poet Uprawili was the first to bridge the gap between African poetry and Black American poetry in the US.
Sounds my favorite poetry right? And there were different types. And one of the longest poems in the 9th century BC and contained 1.5 million words.
Really? For real?
Yep.
Yo, cabanga nje usirecite poem engaga kwi-content yasesikoleni sakho. Kwamanje ke quick commercial break bese buye etolo bafethu. Salitikita kabanzi lolu daba le-poetry.
TOMz. TOMz.
Welcome back. back with it. You guys still tuning in to TOMz Konolago SABC 1 Mzansi for Shizzle, and I'm Claire. We're all about rhymes and rhythm, exploring the wonderful world of poetry.
Definitely, Nabafetu rhyme is all about the words that actually sound the same.
Yeah. So what rhymes with caddy?
Fatty?
Really? Really? Wow. I didn't see that one coming. Anyway, I know a guy who can do so much better, who's actually on top of his game when it comes to sound and storytelling. Check him out. Running the streets of Johannesburg is your boy CAD, do I pronounce Caddy. Yet on another mission, Buffet, to touch down Eldorado Park. Well, Namhlanje Buffet, we were talking about the thing that moves your soul, the power of words. We're talking about poetry. Yazin, need I say more? It's you and me in this mission. That's one get.
Hey, my boy.
How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm good, and you?
First 100.
Nice.
So I'm gonna be chilling with you today. You on my mission.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Tell me, who is Joseph?
So Joseph, first of all, you can just call me Joe. Everyone
Joe.
does. Yeah, so Joe is your local guy from here, Eldorado Park,
Yeah.
you know, your humble poet, yeah, you know. I'm just a guy that's trying to be a good influence to my community, you know, my peers and the youth here around. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you do poetry.
Yeah.
Why poetry? What is poetry to you?
Poetry. Hey, man, don't let me start on that, man. Since I fell in love with it in high school, here in Eldorado Park, so there's lots of negativity and stuff like that. So I decided to focus on like reading material, like, you know, reading books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then, obviously in school we did a little Shakespeare and stuff like that, and the way he spoke was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I remember when the moment I read it. I read it over and over until I got it. The moment I got it and I could say it out like that, you know, it was beautiful. I loved it a lot, yeah.
Okay, so Joe, I want to know, which poem actually triggered everything that made you fall in love with poetry?
There was a poem by this guy named Propaganda. It spoke to me in such a, you know, awesome way, you know. Since when I heard that poem, I knew, maybe, you know, I love this, you know, I wanna check more of this, you know, just see more of this culture, you know. I wanna check it out, you know, start going to events and check what's this about, you know, why are you saying these words and why do they have so much power, you know. So I remember the first poem that I actually learned was actually from Shakespeare, Macbeth. It was actually a dialogue with Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. Yeah. And I remember, that was like the best thing ever, because every time I said it, people were like, say it again. Yeah. Say it again. Yeah. You want me to say?
Yeah, please. I was about to say that, actually.
Okay, so, is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle towards my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not fatal vision? Sensible to feeling as not to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind? A false creation proceeding from a heat oppressed brain? Now you can.
Wow. So I want to know, so how did it all start? Like, obviously, you started reading poetry, and you started reciting it, and how did the whole exposure thing come about?
Okay, first of all, I always felt, a little shy, you know, like I'm not gonna say my business out to the whole world, you know. I think the passion for it actually drove it, and then more I wanted to just share, like, listen to my stuff, you know, or read my stuff, you know, until people were like, you know, you need to say this. Until I said it for the first time, I remember it was like a show in Johannesburg. So it was the very first time, and they said, okay, we're having an open mic session. Yeah. So I was like, ooh, and my friends is like, oh, come on, you have to, you know, you have to. And the setting was beautiful because it was like, you know, the guy with the guitar playing, a nice one. And I just came through, you know, so I was thinking, hey, okay, here's my shot, you know. Yeah. And then you can say since then, this is me now, poetry, because when I spoke, I did a little bit of freestyle and a little bit of a poem that I had in mind, and the people responded, they loved it.
That's how everything blew up. So where do you get your inspiration from?
Okay, inspiration. I'm a reader, so I read some books, you know, that inspire me. Some African authors, you know, international authors, spiritual authors, you know, all kinds of books.
Yeah.
So I read books, and obviously my surroundings. So I get inspiration from my surroundings as well. You know what my community is going through.
Yeah.
So all of that just bottled in one pot with a little bit of salt and aromate, you know.
Okay, so tell me, what is this mug all about?
Okay, so this mug is very special to me.
Okay.
So this mug really inspires me. It's a grow mug with a tree on. So this mug speaks to always constantly growing in knowledge. The growth pains in life, you know. So we constantly going through a struggle, but then we come out, you know, with fruit, you know.
So kungani abantu are attracted to poetry? The metrical patterning in rhyme that is used in poetry is also in fact used in speech directed to abantwana. The structure iyakunceda to remember the word and increase your ability to later say them accurately. For ukhumbula lezinto lezi ngendlela lena, you also reduce the load on your brain that's trying to remember everything off your heart. Try making a rhyme or a rhythm when you're studying. It might be easier.
So siyabangane, and umjidi uyayishaya into yakhe.
much,
And
too
I've learned
much.
actually that you can use this art form to actually express what's deep inside. Keep my emotions wakho man.
Usho kanje?
Ngiyakutshela.
Nabafethu siyazi ukuthi poetry yakwazi ukusiza omunye umuntu ukuthi afunde kabanzi ngempilo njengeincwadi.
Yo.
Now ngiyazi uKed is not much of a reader, but I am. So ufuna ukwazi ukuthi kahle kahle how long will it take me to read every single book on earth?
Every single book?
Yeah.
You must be crazy. Yazi bafethu, sobona ukuthi if that is possible, must be it.
TOMz. TOMz.
Welcome back, my beautiful people, to the show of all shows.
Yeah, but-
on your number one with your number one TOMz.
You know, that almost sounded poetic, ne? Mara, it wasn't, not really. Mina ngivayile ngahlangana nomjida who's actually taking poetry to the next level and usitshengisile ukuthi we can overcome our challenges and work on our dreams.
Nabafethu sobe silidikida kabanzi ke lolu daba, and futhi sibona ukuthi kahle kahle is it actually possible ukuthi ufunde igidi negidi zeincwadi. Okwamanje ke, back to the rhyme.
Okay, so Joe, tell me, where has poetry taken you?
Okay, so poetry has taken me very far. Hopefully, it's taken me further.
Yeah.
You know, I was privileged to be on a tour in Europe.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was good. It was with a youth program. So basically, we go to schools and we throw concert, like a theater show. So I think the passion for performing, that's where it was also groomed, you know, seeing new people every day or every week, you know, going on tour. So that was a very good experience that molded, I think, the passion for poetry. So my dream is basically to start a network, but a youth-focused network that like speaks for the youth. So it's not only in music, because when people hear youth, they think music and education. So everything that attains or relates to youth. So it can be fashion, it can be growth, you know, education as well, you know, our environment, community, you know, all these things, you know. That channel will focus on that. It's basically a youth channel.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
The sun is shining, 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 shining.
So how far are you with pursuing this dream?
So right now I run a blog and a website. So the website is thelambnetwork.com. Me and a partner started this blog called Rad TV.
Okay.
So Rad TV focuses on, you know, music videos, interviews, and all youth-based.
Okay.
Yeah, so for now that's our driving machine. But in the future I'm meeting up with people like Josephine, a good friend, that we'll see what the future holds for this product.
Okay. Okay, so Joe, tell me about your craft. You write, you perform.
Me and my friends came together, so we just doing something new, a new experimental sound.
Okay.
So it's a mixture of deep hop, deep house, jazz, a little bit of hip hop, and my poetry, and a little bit of hype manning in that performance.
So it's a band?
Yeah, so it's a band. It's like a futuristic band. So usually you get like a saxophone and a singer. So now we have like this deep house guy, the guy on the beat machine, you know, doing. So it's live music, but like a digital format. I think the only acoustic, old school element to our band is the drums. So then that's how we basically, that's our product and that's how we perform.
So how does all of that work?
We don't know. We definitely don't know. But when people hear it, they say, hey, it works, you know? So when the people love it, so yeah. Hey, Josephine! So yo, Caddy, this is my friend Josephine, AKA Joe. So she's a filmmaker and illustrator. She's gonna be helping me today with a project.
Okay. Okay, so what exactly are we gonna be doing here?
So we're going to be shooting a video to upload online.
Okay.
Just to promote some of Joe's stuff, show off some of his work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have planned the video already?
No, we're going to talk about it as we go along. So we're going to talk a little bit about storytelling, how you tell a story, how you bring visuals into that.
Okay.
And then we're going to sort of brainstorm something and shoot it now.
Okay, cool.
Moving as well, a bit like if you can get that beat in your head.
Yeah. Of emotional slumber. Come here. Don't fear, Daddy's here. Just saying that.
No, it's awesome. Yeah.
Silhouettes, oh that's dope, react. Cheers guys, I'll see you guys later. There you have it, Bafethu. Sibonile ukuthi poetry is not just an art, kodwa it has a huge influence ebantwini abasha, Bafethu. Read books, stay in school, because literature is very important. It's your voice AD Wapanaz Caddy. I'm out of here.
If poetry does not affect our minds, it actually influences our body. When a poem is written to be read in a certain way, it means the rhythm in reading will cause your breathing to flow a certain pattern. Thus, when reading a poem that slows your heart rate down to a slower rhythm, it means your blood pressure is also going to mellow out. Some researchers think ancient poets knew this and used it to ukulapha abantu abagulayo. Next time you're feeling stressed out, try reading a poem with a good rhythm and see if it works.
Na bafethu nazi ukuthi TOMz isathanda ukuthi siphume sonivakashele ekolenzeni kube mnandi kube yilonto wena lapha ekhaya if uyayibona then ungayitheka on our social media pages, that is Facebook kanye no Twitter. Noma ke musafuna TOMz ize esikoleni sakho, then you can send us an email on tomz@sabc.co.za. For now though, let's see what went down.
Hello girls, how you guys doing? Nick Grant. Now tell them about poems, guys.
Yeah.
Tell me anything about poems.
Okay, a poem is like a short message that like you're expressing your feelings with.
Do you have a favorite poet?
Yeah.
Who?
A person, I can't remember her name, but who wrote poems about Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool guys. Well, I'm going to tell you about this awesome website that teaches you about different kinds of poems, and you can find any poem that you want. The website is www.poetryforkids.com. So you can go on that website. It's going to teach you a lot about poetry, go to who wrote this kind of poem and how these poems are written and what type of poems do we have Konalana in the poem industry. How dope is that?
That's super dope.
That's fresh, no?
Yeah, that's
www.poetryforkids.com. Ane? I'll see you guys later. Bye. So Siyazi Bafethu ukuthi poetry has been taught eGala for so many years. And imagine teaching future poets eGala expressive poetry leyenza uJoseph. How dope would that be? Check this out.
The performance aspect of poetry is taking over and becoming a popular way for former poets to make a living. More digital media access means poets will get a wider audience and have a bigger following. Scientists are now using stories in virtual reality to help patients with post-traumatic stress recover.
Nabafethu niyazi ukuthi mina ukuthi kahle ngiyayithandela nje ukufunda. Phela mina ngusiya ugwala umphephethu majiya umdlovu. Into yami ngiyayishaya ngidlalisisi he ungibheke webafo. Kwamanje ke bafethu asami sobona ukuthi kahle how long would it actually take to read every book on earth?
Determining exactly how many books have been written over the course of human history is bordering on impossible. So we're going to be focusing on the amount of books which is believed to is 130 million. Of course, we're not going to be focusing on the different types and genres. We're just going to be focusing on averages here. So the average person reads about 200 to 300 words per minute on average. A book has around 90,000 words. That means at 600 hours per book, it would take 3 million hours to read all those books. And that is equivalent to 1,484 years. And as the average human normally doesn't live past 1,000 years, let alone 100. Some resources say that it might even take way more than that, like 60,000 years. So if you live that long and read every moment of your life, then sure, but otherwise, you might have to stick to the average 6 books per year.
Aha bafethu TOMz iniphathele indaba ezimnandi khona lapha emakhaya.
Injalo kayibethana yazi sinobele sethanda ukuphisa nako kufika ixesha lokhu.
So wena lapha ekhaya ufuna idea episode ufuna uyibona khona la ku TOMz, all you have to do is
send us the idea bafethu, and if it's fresh and brilliant, we'll make it a TOMz official episode khona la ku SABC 1.
And not only that, you get a goodie bag as well as keep us up to TOMz 1.
So wena lapha ekhaya, all you have to do is send through your ideas on Facebook, which is facebook.com/TOMz. On Twitter, we are simply @TOMz_SABC_1.
I can't believe it's the end of the show. So sad. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us in this epic journey of poetry. Not forget to share your thoughts and poems on our social media pages, which is Facebook and on Twitter.
And for more info about www.tomz.co.za. For myself and Kenny, it's a goodbye and have a lovely afternoon.
Adios.
Next time on TOMz. Say hello to an incredible young woman who has what it takes to not only find success in her life, kodwa help other people along the way. Abantu abaningi love plush toys, so why do humans like to have them around? Sola kabanzi when the first plushes came about and who inspired the teddy bear. See how science is once again taking the future of a simple thing to the next level. And we ask ukuthi ufila kanjani ukuba lonely, kodwa what would it be like to be the only person in the world? Tune into TOMz every Monday and Tuesday at 4 p.m. khona la ku SABC 1 Zanti for sure.